Why, hello there, and thank you for joining me as I observe the South African pothole. Scientifically known as the 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝘶𝗿𝗆𝗀𝗋𝗋, you can see that it is thriving on this stretch of what used to be called road.
Ah, yes, the pothole. As much a part of life here as 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝘀, slug chips, and shutdowns, and a perfect metaphor for the decline of the country's coalition governments. Coalitions are inherently fragile, often bringing together political rivals who have little, if anything, in common. In Italy, their instability has led to close to 70 governments in just 76 years. But the Italians operate in the national coalition major leagues. Here, we've only recently dabbled in them, with predictable results.
So all our coalitions were to keep the ANC out of power.
Without the luxury of a 51% majority in Gauteng's 3 metros following the local elections, opposition parties cozied up to each other. The DA managed to entice 𝗀𝗫𝗿𝗀𝗋's Freedom Front and several others into a coalition and forced the ANC into opposition. Job done for Mulder and co, and a chance for the DA to show what it could do in Joburg, Tshwane, and the East Rand's Ekurhuleni Metro.
I think no political party wants to be part of a coalition voluntarily so. It's very nice to govern on your own, and the DA specifically has been used to that.
It didn't take long for the cracks to show. Joburg's mayor, mpho Phalatse, hardly had time to decorate her office before being ousted, reinstated, and then ousted again. And after a comedy of errors that saw the DA's Randall Williams resign not once, but twice, the Tshwane mayoral chain was handed to a rival coalition only for their candidate to be unmasked as an unrehabilitated insolvent. Then just this week, the DA was back at the helm in Tshwane with an entirely new mayor. But we'd advise you not to blink. Of the Gauteng coalitions, only Ekurhuleni was left standing until Thursday. After a failed first attempt at ousting her, the DA's mayor, Tanya Campbell, faced another motion of no confidence this week. She too was given the boot. And as in the other 2 metros, it's the residents who suffer.
I thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Water shedding, dead traffic lights, refuse removal as regular as a presidential press conference, that is, not regular at all, and yes, the infamous potholes. Despite the early promises of a mayor willing to get her hands dirty, service delivery in Ekurhuleni has been the main casualty of the endless political bickering. It's like voters are trapped in a political checkmate. Coalition promises of better service delivery have fallen short, and citizens are feeling helpless. Can anything be done to break these deadlocks? Or will South Africa remain stuck in this political stalemate? And it seems local councillors are feeling helpless too.
We're here at Benoni Lake, and as you can see, we have a wonderful potato farm here. Oh, sorry, not a potato farm. This is hyacinth.
Simon Lapping is from the DA and is at the sharp end of community frustration. He receives thousands of complaints from irate residents, but when orders from above are simply ignored, his hands are tied.
This sinkhole, which has been here now 4 years. 6 months ago, Mayor Tanya Campbell came out here with the department and gave them instructions for it to be resolved. Still nothing has been done.
So it seems what looked good on paper, a political partnership united against the ANC with a can-do mayor at the helm, resulted in a damp squib.
Coalitions are under immense pressure. The moment when we got elected after the election, the electorate expected us to turn things around from the next day. That's not possible for various reasons. We inherited, in most of those instances, financial chaos.
Of course, elected is the operative word. Coalitions are the result of a divided electorate, and so it's unsurprising when uncomfortable bedfellows decide to trade in the mattress. As Ekurhuleni faltered, first the Patriotic Alliance, and then Action SA went in search of somewhere else to lay their heads. Both parties claimed to be fed up with the metro service delivery shambles, but the DA was having none of it, instead pointing fingers at the ANC, then in opposition.
The ANC has deployed cadres within the administration of the municipality.
Fred Null is the party's Gauteng provincial chair.
And these are all aligned to the ANC. And what they do is, if they don't want us to succeed, they just don't deliver the services.
So are you saying that there's an agenda to stop the DA from providing the services that it should?
Yes, in order to make our government look bad, yes. It does take a long time to turn around some of these municipalities.
How do you think a resident whose refuge hasn't been picked up, who voted for the DA, feels when they hear that? Because
if I were a resident, I also don't want to know about the internal politics. I want to have my refuge removed.
Cue the denial. Not us, says the ANC.
We did not disrupt them. We did not sabotage them.
𝗀𝗫𝗿𝗶𝗵𝗶 is the leader of the ANC in Ekurhuleni.
We gave them the benefit of the doubt, and all that we did, we became effective in our role of being opposition. Within a short space of time, it became apparent that they are struggling to govern.
Of course he would say that, except Carte Blanche has been offered a glimpse of how some in the party view their own record. And in the battle for hearts and minds, it seems they're being outmaneuvered.
This group is a waste of time. Nothing is ever answered.
I'm hurtful of this. It's not acceptable.
Simple tasks like filling up diesel now becomes a complex problem.
These are actual messages shared between DA Ekurhuleni members on an internal WhatsApp group called, some might say ironically, Service Delivery. Hardly the sign of a party united in its objective to lead a coalition that delivers on its commitment to the Metro's residents. But that's not where it ends. Carte Blanche was sent this message from a DA public representative. It paints a bleak picture of former Mayor Tanya Campbell's leadership. It describes her as dictatorial, saying she makes decisions without consulting anyone. Concerningly, there are allegations about under-budgeting for pothole repairs because Campbell tried to get an insurance company to foot the bill. They refused, and the roads weren't fixed. Signs of a palace revolt are everywhere. Earlier this year, 2 DA councillors resigned. One said the job was so stressful, it was impacting his health, adding he lacked the necessary support to deliver to his voters. Philip Delanga, a former DA Ekurhuleni leader, says Campbell is guilty of the very sins the party criticizes the ANC for.
She went and appointed people around her that she was never supposed to appoint. And to crown it all, she's fortified her office or the MMC's offices with family and friends.
In an example of that, Delanga hinted that sharing may be caring. Philip, what were you able to uncover about cadre deployment or jobs for pals and friends?
Her daughter, the boyfriend, he's been appointed as the go-between in the leader of executive businesses office. Her niece, an MP of the DA, her daughter has been appointed in the MMC for corporate's office. And one of her very close friends, her wife, has been appointed as advisor to the MMC for finance.
The city confirmed the employment of both the alleged boyfriend and niece.
She's allowed to employ whoever she wants in her political office, just like all the other mayors are, and all the other MMCs.
Oh, it's not nepotism then?
No.
He sent a message later clarifying that if Campbell's niece was unfairly appointed, there may be an investigation. We tried to get an interview with then Mayor Campbell, but after 2 requests, she declined and told us to stop asking. While the politicians bicker, fight, and blame each other, it's us, ordinary citizens, who have to deal with the effects of poor service delivery. Reminding me of that famous African proverb, when the elephants fight, it's the grass that will be trampled. And that is why every South African should be paying attention to what happened in Ekurhuleni and Gauteng's other metros.
I doubt that the ANC can reverse the tide of electoral losses.
Dr. 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝘀 lectures in history and political science at Nelson Mandela University. What are the chances that 2024 we will see the single party dominance being an old idea?
The rate at which the ANC has been losing support with each successive election from 2006, it may drop below 50%, and as a result of that, we will get a coalition environment.
In other words, what we're seeing at a local level in our towns, cities, and metros might be replicated after the provincial and national elections next year. The smart money right now is on an ANC-EFF coalition, but what are the odds on them enjoying more success than what we're seeing in the metros?
A year and a bit down the line, do you think voters got what they voted for?
Voters usually get what they voted for.
And in present-day South Africa, it's hard to know if that's a compliment or an insult.